episode 2 of Career
Enhancement
and Advancement. Stuff you should know.
Stuff you should know.
All right.
Little
So
excited this time.
we hope you enjoyed the first episode. The second episode, we're gonna. I hope you. We're planning on doing a little bit of math when you got up this morning, because there's gonna be some simple math problems and things like that. But I find this section is gonna be really informative on how to unlock the code of what is your performance mark average, or your PMA as we call it. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the performance mark average for a second. So if you're a candidate for E6 or E7, your individual trait average on your eval, you know, all those 5.0s that you're getting get added up, right? And then they get factored into another what do we call that? Another calculation, which is called your reporting seniors cumulative average, and then all that gets factored into a formula that we have broken down for you, and it works into your PMA. But before I get started, we got to give props where props are due. We want to thank YN2 Brown for the artwork on this board. I want to thank Chief Nita B for her magical pointer that she's letting me borrow from NRPDC. Thanks a lot, Schoolhouse. And you wanted to thank?
I want to thank AM2 Takamura for putting together this beautiful board here. All the nice writing is hers, the not so nice writing to the right of that is mine. And
I have absolutely zero writing on this, and you should be thankful for that, because I can't even read my own writing sometimes. But so one of the first thing I want to talk about is unlocking the mystery that is called the RISCA, or reporting seniors cumulative average. Okay, so we made this board, and it looks exactly like your enlisted summary record that you could pull off a BOL. As a matter of fact, when NC1 and I put this together, we actually had one printed out and basically made this board look exactly like it. So if you're listening on an audio podcast and you're sitting at your computer, I can walk you through how to unlock the mystery of how to read your enlisted summary record. So being a former C-130 flight engineer, we do everything top to bottom, left to right. So I'm going to start in the top left, and above the box you're going to see from and to dates. Okay, so it's talking about the specific record, when it started and when it closed. And when you look at the numbers, it says from. You'll see here it'll say like 04, 01, 17. Well, all these dates are month, day, and year. So this would be April 1st of 2017 to March 17th of 2018. All right? So that's the period that this record is covering. The next line, or the set of boxes that you're going to see, are talking about you and your reporting senior. So when we start with the left, it says PG. That means the pay grade that you were for this record. Then it talks about the duty station you were at. And in this case, it's JAS JRB. This is a fictional record. Any coincidences are pure in nature. All right. The duty type. This is administration, so this individual was in administration, and it's from the dates typically that you see above. So it's from April 1st of 2017 to 17th of March 2018. So, and the next block it'll say number of months. So the report that this is an 11-month report. Most of your regular reports are 12 to 15, but they can be a little bit shorter as well. And then it has your reporting senior's name. Here it's the last name, underpants, first name C. It's a captain, 06 as you see, and the reporting senior's title is the commanding officer. Okay, so this stuff is pretty straightforward, pretty easy to understand. And now we start getting into the math portion. So if you look at a regular eval, that we all have, you look at your individual traits, and you're graded for the specific traits, you know, anywhere from 1.0 to 5.0. And what this is a numerical representation of all the traits. So this individual had 0 marks in the 1 or significant problems, 0 marks in the progressing section, 0 marks, okay, for the average, right? Then we get into above average, so this person had 4.0 marks on their eval, and then they had 3 5.0 marks on the eval. This is where people, the next block is averages for the traits, okay? And this is where some people kind of get lost. So this is the summary of the individual traits of this person, the E5, all right? This is what they got on their eval, a 4.43. And they're ranked against their peers. So their peers average from the bottom promotable or even the significant problem to the number 1 EP, the average of all those evals came out to be a 3.96. So as you can see, this individual is above the average of the command, all right? This next number shows reporting senior. This is the number of reports that Captain Underpants has written on E5s throughout his career. So he's written 128 E5 evals. All right, that's what that number means. Out of all those 128 evals that he's written, his average of all those evals is 3.95. So as you can see, this individual with a 4.43 is above the captain's average at 3.95. All right? What the next block shows is how this individual fell out in their command. All right? So in their command during this reporting period, they had no significant problems. They had no progressing evals. They had 25 promotables, 26 must promotes, and 13 early promotes. This individual with a 4.43 fell in the early promote category, which is probably no surprise to you. The next block, miscellaneous, talks about the PRT cycles. As you can see, this person passed the first cycle with a P, and they probably scored an excellent or an outstanding because in the next cycle they had a B, which means they were validated. You know, if you get an excellent or outstanding, you don't have to run the next one. You still have to get your BCA done, but you don't have to perform the next PRT because you scored an outstanding on the previous, and you took you took the validation. And then the last block in miscellaneous talks about the type of report that it was. And RG means that this is a regular report, which is typical for an E5. You know, because E5s sign their evals in March 15th of each year. So I kind of wanted to give you all some knowledge on how to read your enlisted summary record, and especially how the reporting senior average factors into where you fall out amongst your peers, and not just amongst your peers, but amongst the reporting senior. Are you above or below his average?
And so this is why that's important.
Here, wait, let me pass you the baton.
Thank you. So this is why that's important. Right now, if you are a candidate, like Mashi said, for the E6 or the E7 exam, your individual trait average on your eval is more than 0.5 above the RISCA, which is the reporting senior average right here, 3.95. And you can see the individual trait average was 4.43. So if you're anywhere above 0.5 of your senior's reporting average, then you get additional points calculated to your PMA, which means more points on your exam, right? Which means higher final multiple, right. Which means hopefully advancement and more pay,
That's right?
So I also wanted to mention that points are given per evaluation, and that all evals listed in your current pay grade, including the frocked ones, are included in the time frame stated by the NAV admin for when you calculate what evals are eligible for your exam that need to be calculated.
So you figure out your eligibility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, so now let's go over here to this board, right? This is the PMA point breakdown, right? So we all know, if you get a promotion recommendation, that's an EP, that you get a 4.0, right? An MP is a 3.8, a P is a 3.6. When you see this on your worksheet, usually it's like a combination of like a 4.0, 3.6, and then when you add those two up and divide it by 2, that's how you're going to get your PMA, right? So what they're doing now is they're taking the RISCA, giving points to however much like RISCA is you're above for the reporting seniors average, and then adding that to your points, okay? So for example, if the RISCA, as shown in this example here,
We're going to use this as our example to figure out the PMA.
so for example, if your RISCA is 3.95, right, and this member received an EP eval, right, their individual trade average was 4.43, what you're going to do is you're going to take your individual trade average and subtract that from your reporting seniors average, and then you're going to get the point breakdown. So when you do the math, right, it's 4.43 minus 3.95, and that gives you 0.48. Now this graph down here tells you if you got 0.48 above the reporting seniors average, you go to the graph, and then it tells you to add 0.60 points to your PMA. So if you already got the 4.0 because you got the EP eval, you add the 0.60 to that, and then you get 4.60, which means more PMA points on the exam. And then if you refer to, or if you want to know how many points exactly that makes, you can probably talk to your career counselor or your ESO to calculate exactly how many points you're going to get additional for your exam. So hopefully that made a lot of sense. Like Mashif was saying in previous episodes, talk to your career counselor, talk to your ESO, talk to your chief, and if you don't understand something, have them explain it to you, because it's really, really good information to have.
Yeah, I didn't understand about the RISCA and how it affected PMA and things like that till later on in my career, and I'm actually embarrassed to say how late, but it was late enough for me to be embarrassed. So understanding your reporting seniors average is going to factor in now to your evals. It's even going to roll into that. So the new nav admin talks about that. We'll talk about evals in an upcoming episode. We don't want to crush you with all the knowledge that we have now.
Yes.
But we wanted to, NC1 and I wanted to talk about a few other things. We wanted to talk about pay. So let's say you got your PMA all factored in. You knocked the bottom out of that test. You scored a great average compared to your peers. You're way above, and you're gonna get advanced. It says you've been selected for promotion. When do I get paid? Show me the money.
Well, you get paid when your profile sheet tells you you get paid. So on your profile sheet, the way you're going to know, right, is if you go on your profile sheet, if you've been selected for advancement, it'll say selected, and then when you start getting paid, it'll say promoted. So it really depends. For advancement to E4 to E6, if you were mapped, you advance immediately, provided that you watched our last podcast and you did your PMKEE on time. And then if you took
So
the exam,
wait. So you gotta have the PMKEE done if you're mapped. You've gotta have the one for the next rate done, or you don't get paid.
Yep.
Right. So you still have to get that done to get paid. And you're gonna get, if you've been mapped, you're gonna get paid probably before some of the folks that even got advanced off the exam get paid.
For a lot of them, yeah.
Yeah, because it's gonna be immediate.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a good segue. Like, if you took the exam, it depends on your final multiple score, right? So if you had the highest final multiple, you get paid in the first increment. And then only 3% of people will get paid within the first 5 months.
So only 3% of everybody that advanced is gonna make that first increment.
Yep.
So you better be smart.
Yeah, if there's even 3%. Sometimes you only see that 5 people get advanced, and that first person will get paid first increment, and then everybody else will get paid at the last increment.
You'll have to wait.
So yeah, the bottom 85% will get paid on the 6th month. Yep.
Okay, so, we talked about the upside to doing well on a test. What's the downside? What is considered a failing score? Or better yet, what is considered failing and what is considered a perfect score?
Okay, this is actually a really, really good question that we get a lot. I myself didn't even know how to determine what was a failing score, but it's really dependent on how well the rest of your peer group does, right? So your standard score is a representation of how well all of the candidates do who took the test. So the range is 20 points to a score of 80, so 20 to 80.
20 being
the lowest score.
That mark we don't want to talk about. And then 80 being the one you want to tell everybody about.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's no such thing as getting 100% on the exam. If you had the highest score out of all of the people in your peer group, you could potentially get an 80, right? So that's after they throw away all of the questions that no longer are applicable, or all of the questions that maybe nobody got right? Because it's graded on a curve. And then the score of 50 represents the candidates who fell right in the middle of the raw score distribution. Okay, so when you see on your profile sheet where it says you did 54% better than the people in your peer group or whatever, that's essentially what that means.
Okay.
That you're in the 50th percentile. So generally, a standard score of 80 indicates a candidate scored higher than 99% of the candidates who were taking the exam, the same exact exam. And then likewise, a score of 70 indicates they were scored higher than 98%, 60 indicates 84, 50 indicates 50, etc., etc. And then 20 indicates that 1%. So
you're the bottom 1%.
Yep,
so if you cut a 20, you're a 1%er at the bottom.
Yep. So let's talk about failing score for a little bit, right? Because a failing score
has implications.
Yes. And it also, just because you get a 32, it doesn't mean automatically that you failed. You may have gotten a 32, but where you fell in comparison to other people may have been a little bit higher. So is there really an actual score that's a failing score? I wouldn't say you could really put a number to it.
Right.
But the point is you don't want to score low on the exam anyway, right?
Right.
So
because if you cut a failing score and your profile sheet says fail, that puts NC1 and myself to work, because now we've got to do a CDB to find out why you failed.
Yep.
Which can be uncomfortable at times, but still it's nothing you should aspire to. You shouldn't wake up in the morning going, I'm going to fail today so that I can see NC1 and Master Chief.
Yeah. And we'll actually, towards the end of the podcast, we'll give you a little bit of study tips and tricks that may have worked for us. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So I've got a question. So I had a sailor come to me and say, hey, Master Chief, I got an EP on my most recent transfer eval. So I just transferred, they gave me the EP. Can I take the exam early because I'm an EP?
Absolutely not, Master Chief. So, that's a common misconception. And another thing I hear a lot is, I need 2 EP evals in order to take the exam early. That's not true.
Okay.
So as per the instruction that, we'll post up somewhere, or like I said, you can talk to somebody about, you need to get an EP on your most recent periodic eval only.
Alright, so if my command cuts me a special, that doesn't count?
Doesn't count.
Okay.
Concurring doesn't count. None of that stuff counts.
Okay.
It's just your most recent periodic eval where you're ranked with everybody else.
Gotcha.
So once you get that, then you could put in a request to take the exam early. You don't need 2 of them, but the reason why that's a misconception is because if for some reason you get a P eval or an eval other than an EP in between exams. So for example, for this E5, right? Let's say the E5 got an EP. They were able to take the exam early one time, and then they transferred to a different command, and then they got a P eval because they had an eval cycle there, right? That disqualifies you from taking the next exam.
Early.
Early, yes, early.
You take the next exam if it's regularly scheduled, but you can't take it early.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right. So you know what this all boils down to, right? It's all pretty simple to me. Do do well on your evals, right? You go out there, you get qualified, you are motivated, and you're taking those hard jobs, you're doing well at them, sustain superior performance, and you score well on your test, which means you gotta use your head, study, get the bibliographies, get all the information out there that you can get to study for that exam, so that I can have you up on stage there, and we can be frocking you and celebrating, and you can reap the benefits of higher rank, more responsibility, and more money, right?
Yeah.
Show me the money. So hey, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, listening in, watching, whichever media you chose to take this information in, and we haven't figured out what our next episode is going to be on, but you'll know when we do it, obviously. We'll tell you. So for now, we just want to say, get out there, keep performing, study hard, and we wish you luck on the next exam, right?
Yep, good luck.
All right, and so we're out from the next career enhancements and advancements. Stuff you should know.
Stuff you should know.